Ladies and gentlemen, I won't forget the life I promised myself. That sentence right there has to be the anchor for everything you do, everything you want, and everything you believe. Because let me tell you something, life has a funny way of testing you. It has a funny way of putting you through storms, through valleys, through nights so dark you can't see your own hands in front of your face. Life will try to break you, strip you, and make you question if you ever deserved the dreams you carried in your heart. But if you really, truly, and deeply promised yourself a certain kind of life, you can't forget that promise. You can't put it down when things get hard. You can't turn your back when people laugh at you. And you can't quit just because the road is longer than you expected. See, some of you have dreams so big, but you treat them like they're optional. You treat them like you can put them on the shelf for later, like you can just walk away when things get rough. But a real promise, one you made to yourself, shouldn't be something you can walk away from. That's not a promise, that's a wish. A promise is something that burns inside you, something you can't shake, something that will keep you up at night if you don't move towards it. You know how powerful it is when you tell yourself, I won't forget. Do you know how dangerous that makes you to everything that's been trying to stop you? When you make that kind of commitment, no failure can destroy you. No rejection can bury you. No delay can paralyze you. Because you didn't just wish for it, you promised it. Now let me get real with you. Life will always try to pull you into comfort zones. It will always whisper, settle here. This is enough. This is safe. But deep down you know that's not the life you promised yourself. You didn't promise yourself mediocrity. You didn't promise yourself just paying bills and dying. You didn't promise yourself staying stuck in circles that never move forward. You promised yourself something better, something greater, something worth fighting for. And if you break that promise to yourself, then you're teaching your own soul that you can't be trusted. That's dangerous, because if you can't trust yourself, how can you expect anyone else to trust you? How can you expect to rise higher if you can't even hold true to your own word? That's why you can't forget the life you promised yourself. It's not just about goals, it's about your identity. It's about your word to yourself. It's about building the kind of trust inside you that says, when I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it no matter what. You know, when I think about people who achieve great things, they're not the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who had every reason to quit, every reason to give up, every reason to accept less. But they didn't. They held on to that promise. They kept reminding themselves, I won't forget, even when they didn't have the money, even when they didn't have the connection, even when nobody believed in them. They still remembered, and because they remembered, they found a way. Some of you have let life make you forget. You've let bills, responsibilities, disappointments, heartbreaks, and failures make you forget the fire you used to carry. You've let time trick you into believing it's too late. You've let people who gave up on their own dreams convince you that yours are impossible. But let me tell you, just because you forgot for a moment doesn't mean it's gone. That promise is still inside you. That dream is still waiting. That vision is still alive. All you have to do is wake it back up. All you have to do is whisper to yourself, I won't forget, not anymore. And let me tell you something, when you decide to remember, when you decide to honor that promise, life starts shifting. The universe starts moving pieces you can't even see. Doors start opening where there were only walls before. Opportunities start finding you because you positioned yourself to be ready. But none of that happens if you live in forgetfulness. None of that happens if you keep making excuses. I know some of you are tired. I know some of you are saying, but you don't know how hard it's been for me. You're right, I don't know your exact story. But I do know this. Somebody with less than you, with more pain than you, with more obstacles than you, still found a way to keep their promise. So don't tell me it's impossible. Don't tell me you can't. You might not know how yet. You might not see the path yet, but you can. The real question is, will you? Will you be bold enough to say, I won't forget? Will you be disciplined enough to wake up every day and move 1 inch closer? Will you be courageous enough to shut down the voices of doubt and push forward anyway? Will you be committed enough to fight through the days you don't feel like it? Because that's what it takes to keep a promise. That's what it takes to live the life you told yourself you would live. Some of you promised yourself you'd break the cycle in your family, that you wouldn't live paycheck to paycheck, that you wouldn't let your kids grow up in the same struggles you did. Some of you promised yourself you'd make something out of your talents, that you wouldn't waste the gifts God gave you. Some of you promised yourself you'd be successful, you'd travel the world, you'd inspire others, but somewhere along the way you forgot. Well, this is your wake-up call. Don't you dare leave this earth without keeping that promise. Don't you dare die with that dream still inside you. Don't you dare hand your future over to fear, laziness, or doubt, because if you do, you'll spend the rest of your life haunted by the thought of what could have been. I need you to get serious. I need you to treat your promise like it's oxygen. Like if you don't fight for it, you'll suffocate. Because in a way, that's the truth. If you don't chase the life you promised yourself, you will suffocate under the weight of regret, under the pain of unrealized potential, under the heaviness of knowing you could have been more. You have to remind yourself daily. Write it down, speak it out loud, meditate on it, put it on your wall, on your phone, in your heart. I won't forget the life I promised myself. Make it your mantra. Make it your battle cry. Because every time you say it, you're building your resilience. You're building your faith. You're building the kind of mindset that refuses to settle. And let me be clear, it won't happen overnight. This is not instant. This is not easy. This is not convenient. But it is worth it. Every sacrifice, every late night, every rejection, every tear, every moment of doubt, it's all worth it when you look back and realize you kept your word to yourself. You want to know what real confidence is? Real confidence is not walking into a room with fancy clothes or big talk. Real confidence is looking in the mirror and knowing you kept your promise. Real confidence is knowing you didn't fold when life pressed you. Real confidence is walking in the life you built, not the life that was handed to you. Listen, life is short. You don't have forever. You don't know how many more chances you'll get. You don't know how much time is left. So why waste it forgetting? Why waste it settling? Why waste it living below the level of the promise you made to yourself? You've got to take action. Stop waiting for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. Stop waiting for people to believe in you. They might never. Stop waiting for fear to disappear. It won't. Move anyway. Act anyway. Build anyway. Believe anyway. You owe it to yourself, not to me, not to your neighbor, not even to your family. You owe it to yourself, because at the end of your life, it's you who has to look back. It's you who has to sit with the choices you made. And you don't want to sit there saying, I forgot the life I promised myself. You want to sit there smiling saying, I remembered, I fought, I kept my word, and I made it. So today, make the decision. Lock it in. Tell yourself, I won't forget. And then start moving like you believe it. Start working like it's already yours. Start living like your promise is non-negotiable. Because once you do that, nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not time, not people, nothing. You won't forget. And because you won't forget, you will win. I won't forget the life I promised myself. Let me take you deeper into what that really means. You see, every promise has a price. And too many of us want the promise without paying the price. We want success without sacrifice, results without discipline, breakthrough without patience. But that's not how it works. That's not how life pays out. If you promised yourself a life of freedom, abundance, joy, and purpose, then you've got to understand you're going to have to earn it. And I know what you're thinking. But I've already been working. I've already been trying, I get it. But let me tell you something, the life you promised yourself doesn't respond to halfway effort. It doesn't respond to part-time commitment. It doesn't respond to you only showing up when you feel like it. No, the life you promised yourself responds to consistency. It responds to grit. It responds to those nights when you're exhausted but you still take one more step. I'll never forget when I was at my lowest, staring at my own reflection and asking, is this really all there is for me? And you've been there too. You've looked at your circumstances. You've looked at your bank account. You've looked at your mistakes. And you've wondered if maybe you were asking for too much. But that's where the fight begins. That's where you decide if you're going to remember your promise or surrender your promise. Some of you gave up too early. You hit one wall and said maybe it wasn't meant for me. But here's what you don't realize. Sometimes the wall isn't there to stop you. It's there to test you. It's asking, how bad do you want this? And when you say, I won't forget, you start looking for another way. You start climbing over the wall, digging under it, or kicking it down, but you don't walk away because walking away means you broke your own word. You see, I've learned that the people who make it aren't always the most talented, the most educated, or the most connected. The people who make it are the ones who keep showing up, the ones who refuse to let life make them forget, the ones who decide, even if it takes me 10 years, I'm keeping this promise. That kind of determination is dangerous. That kind of faith is unstoppable. Think about it. Every time you honor your promise, you're planting seeds. Seeds that don't look like much at first. Seeds that don't sprout the next day. But eventually those seeds grow into a harvest. And you know what the harvest looks like? It looks like the freedom you wanted. It looks like the success you dreamed of. It looks like the life you promised yourself. But here's the problem. You can't keep planting seeds and digging them up because you're impatient. You can't keep quitting on yourself and then wondering why nothing is growing. That's why you've got to tell yourself every single day, I won't forget. I won't give up. I won't dig up what I planted. Because if you stay the course, the harvest will come. I want you to think about something. Imagine you're standing at the end of your life. You're old, sitting in a chair, reflecting back. Do you really want to be the person who says, I almost did it? I almost became who I wanted to be. I almost lived the life I promised myself. Or do you want to be the one who says, I did it? I kept my word. I fought my battles. I lived my dream. Because that's the choice you're making right now. Every day you forget, you drift closer to regret. Every day you remember, you get closer to fulfillment. I know it's tough. I know life feels unfair. But life being unfair doesn't change your promise. Struggles don't erase your promise. Pain doesn't cancel your promise. The only thing that can cancel it is you forgetting it. And I refuse to let you do that. Listen. When you made that promise to yourself, you weren't just daydreaming. That was your soul speaking. That was your spirit showing you a vision of what's possible. That wasn't random. That wasn't an accident. That was destiny whispering. This is who you really are. So when you forget, you're not just forgetting a dream. You're forgetting your destiny. You're forgetting who you were created to be. And that's why I need you to fight. I need you to fight through every delay. I need you to fight through every rejection. I need you to fight through every lonely night, every silent season, every tear that falls when nobody's watching, because that fight is proof that you remembered. That fight is proof that you're still committed. That fight is proof that you're not going to die with your promise unfulfilled. I'll tell you something I've learned. Your promise will take you places your comfort zone never will. Your promise will demand more of you than you thought you had. Your promise will strip away your excuses, your laziness, your fear, but in exchange your promise will give you strength, wisdom, character, and victory. So when it gets hard, don't you dare say I can't. Say I won't forget. When it gets lonely, don't say maybe this isn't for me. Say I won't forget. When it feels impossible, don't say I'll quit. Say I won't forget, because those words will carry you. They'll remind you why you started. They'll remind you what's at stake. They'll remind you that the life you promised yourself is worth every drop of sweat, every ounce of effort, every scar you collect along the way. You can't forget, because if you forget, you'll settle. And if you settle, you'll never know what you were truly capable of. You'll never know how high you could have climbed, how far you could have gone, how bright you could have shined. And that, my friend, is the greatest tragedy. Not failure, not rejection, not mistakes. The greatest tragedy is forgetting. So say it with me. I won't forget. Say it until it's burned into your bones. Say it until it becomes who you are. Because when you really believe it, when you really commit to it, nothing can stop you. Not time, not people, not pain, nothing. I won't forget the life I promised myself. And I need you to understand something. When you make that kind of promise, you're not just committing to an outcome. You're committing to a process. See, everybody wants the end result, but not everybody wants the grind that comes with it. Everybody wants the dream house, the dream car, the dream lifestyle, but not everybody wants the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the setbacks, and the discipline that are required to get there. But here's the truth. You can't skip the process. You can't cut corners on your promise, because if you cheat the process, you cheat yourself. And if you cheat yourself, you'll never be able to enjoy the reward. That's why the struggle is part of the promise. That's why the pain is part of the because it shapes you into the kind of person who can handle the very life you said you wanted. Let me put it this way. If you promised yourself a life of greatness, then greatness requires pressure. Diamonds are made under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. In your life, your best life will be built in the middle of storms that try to break you. But instead of breaking you, those storms will build you. And when you come out on the other side, you'll be unshakable. Some of you right now are in the middle of a season that feels unbearable. You're tired. You're frustrated. You're wondering why it has to be so hard. And you're tempted to forget. You're tempted to put your promise down and say, maybe this is too much for me. But hear me when I say this. The harder it feels, the closer you are. The greater the pressure, the greater the promise. The life you told yourself you would live is not small. It's not average. It's not ordinary. So why would the journey to it be easy? This is the moment when you have to remind yourself, I won't forget, because when you forget, you start shrinking. You start lowering your standards. You start surrounding yourself with people who think small, live small, and settle for less. And if you stay there too long, you'll convince yourself that average is enough. But you know better. Deep down, you know average will never satisfy you. Deep down, you know that's not the life you promised yourself. And let's talk about people for a second. Not everyone is going to understand your promise. Not everyone is going to support your vision. In fact, some of the closest people to you will doubt you, laugh at you, or even try to pull you back down. Not because they're evil, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your hunger reminds them of the promises they forgot. And rather than remembering, it's easier for them to criticize you. But here's the good news. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't need them to see it as long as you see it, because you're the one who made the promise. You're the one who has to live with yourself. If you quit, you're the one who has to look in the mirror every morning. And trust me, nothing feels heavier than breaking your own word. So stop waiting for people to cheer you on. Stop waiting for the world to clap for you. Learn how to clap for yourself. Learn how to motivate yourself when nobody else will. Learn how to remind yourself, I won't forget, even when you feel like you're standing all alone, because sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you've got to walk the lonely road before others catch up. But when they finally see what you built, when they finally witness the life you promised yourself becoming reality, they'll understand. Now let's talk about fear. Fear is one of the biggest reasons people forget their promise. Fear of failing, fear of looking stupid, fear of losing everything. But let me tell you something. Fear is a liar. Fear paints pictures in your mind of everything that could go wrong, but it never tells you about everything that could go right. Fear magnifies the risk, but hides the reward. And if you let fear lead you, it will lead you straight into a life of regret. But if you remember your promise, you'll realize something. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means you're on the right track. Fear shows up when you're close to something important, and the only way to beat fear is to move through it. Do it scared. Do it uncertain. Do it shaky. Just do it anyway, because the moment you take action in the face of fear, you prove to yourself that your promise is bigger than your fear. And don't you dare let failure make you forget. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every failure is a lesson. Every setback is a stepping stone. Every mistake is a teacher. You don't fail when things don't work. You fail when you stop remembering why you started. You fail when you quit. And if you never quit, then every failure is just a detour on the road to your promise. Think about the life you promised yourself. See it in your mind. Picture the house, the car, the freedom, the peace, the joy. Picture the version of you who made it. Now imagine standing face to face with that version of yourself, and they ask you, did you keep the promise? Did you do what you said you'd do? What are you going to say? Because one day that moment is coming, and when it does, you want to be able to say, yes, I remembered. I kept my word. I'll tell you another truth. The promise is not just about you. Yes, it starts with you. Yes, it's your dream. But when you live the life you promised yourself, you inspire everyone around you. You show your kids what's possible. You show your family that cycles can be broken. You show your community that dreams are not just fairy tales, they're real. And that ripple effect spreads further than you can even imagine. So if you're thinking about quitting, don't just think about yourself. Think about the people who are watching you. Think about the people who will be inspired by your story. Think about the ones who need to see somebody keep their word. because it will give them permission to keep theirs. You're carrying more than your own promise. You're carrying the hope of everyone who looks up to you. That's why you can't forget. That's why you can't quit. That's why you can't settle, because this is bigger than you. This is destiny. This is legacy. This is about showing the world what happens when somebody refuses to let go of their promise. So every morning, when you wake up, remind yourself, I won't forget. Say it before you check your phone. Say it before you step out the door. Say it before you let the world distract you. I won't forget. And then act like it. Move like it. Grind like it. Because when your actions line up with your words, that's when transformation happens. And listen, the life you promised yourself might not show up exactly how you pictured it. Sometimes the path changes. Sometimes the details look different. But don't confuse a change in the picture with a broken promise, because the essence will still be the same. The freedom, the joy, the fulfillment. That's the real promise. So stay flexible with the path, but stay committed to the vision. At the end of the day, this is simple. You either remember, or you forget. You either fight, or you fold. You either keep your word, or you break it. And the decision you make every single day will create the future you live in. So choose wisely, choose boldly, choose to remember, because when you remember, when you commit, when you say with all of your being, I won't forget, the life I promised myself, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when the impossible becomes possible. That's when your promise turns into your reality. I won't forget, the life I promised myself. And as I stand here, I need you to understand, this is not just a speech. This is not just a set of nice words to make you feel good for a few minutes. This is a call to action. This is a wake-up call for your spirit, because some of you have been asleep too long. Some of you buried your promise under excuses, under fear, under other people's opinions. But today, I'm telling you to dig it back up. I'm telling you to breathe life into it again, because let me tell you, if you live long enough, life will give you plenty of reasons to forget. Life will give you heartbreak, financial struggles, failures, betrayals. Life will put weight on your shoulders so heavy, you'll want to lay your promise down just to breathe. But here's the thing, when you lay your promise down, you also lay down your hope. And when you lose your hope, you stop living, you start existing. And that's not why you're here. You are here to live. You are here to rock. You are here to fulfill the very vision you once whispered to yourself late at night. That picture you saw in your heart when nobody else knew. That's your assignment. That's your destiny. That's your promise. And don't you dare believe the lie that it's too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many years you think you've wasted. I don't care how many mistakes you've made. As long as you're still breathing, your promise is still alive. As long as you can wake up in the morning, you can move toward it. Stop saying, maybe next year. Stop saying, if I had started earlier. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now. And don't you dare lower your promise, because people tell you to be realistic. Realistic never changed the world. Realistic never broke cycles. Realistic never built empires, started movements, or inspired millions. Realistic keeps people stuck. But your promise requires faith. Your promise requires boldness. Your promise requires you to believe in things that don't make sense to the average person. And that's okay, because average was never your destination. Let me remind you, your promise is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you comfort. It's going to cost you certain friendships. It's going to cost you your excuses. It might even cost you seasons of loneliness. But what you gain in return will outweigh it all. You'll gain peace of mind. You'll gain freedom. You'll gain the satisfaction of knowing you didn't betray yourself. You'll gain the life you promised yourself. And one day, when you're living in that promise, you'll look back and realize it was worth it. Every tear, every late night, every sacrifice, every lonely road. You'll sit in the house you dreamed of, or walk across the stage you envisioned, or see the joy on your children's faces, and you'll say, I'm glad I didn't forget. I'm glad I kept going. But right now, it's not about that future moment. Right now, it's about this decision, this day, this second, because your promise isn't built in one giant leap. It's built in daily decisions. Every day, you decide whether to remember or forget. Every day,
You decide whether to move closer or further, and if you keep stacking those decisions, one day, you'll wake up in the middle of the very life you promised yourself. So I'm asking you, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep living in circles? Are you gonna keep settling for less? Are you gonna keep breaking your own word? Or are you gonna rise up and say enough is enough? I won't forget anymore. Because this is your time. This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Right now. Right now. You decide to take your life back. Right now. You decide to honor your word. Right now. You decide to stop living small and step into everything you were created for. And listen, I believe in you, even if you don't fully believe in yourself yet. I believe in you. I believe in your promise. I believe in your future. I believe in the version of you that's on the other side of the struggle, the one who is smiling, thriving, winning, living. That person is real. That person is waiting. And the only thing standing in the way is whether you will remember or forget. So promise me. No, promise yourself that you won't forget anymore. Promise yourself that from this day forward, you're gonna fight for your promise with everything you've got. Promise yourself that you'll take the hits, the rejections, the setbacks, and still rise again. Promise yourself that you won't lay your dream down, no matter how heavy life gets. And when you make that promise, stand on it, live it, breathe it, because there is nothing more powerful than a person who refuses to forget. A person who remembers their promise becomes unstoppable. A person who remembers their promise can change their life, their family, their community, even the world. So here's how we're gonna end this. You're gonna walk out of here with fire in your heart. You're gonna wake up tomorrow, and the next day and the next day with this phrase in your mind. I won't forget the life I promised myself. You're gonna repeat it until it becomes your anthem, and then you're gonna act on it, until it becomes your reality. Because one day, you'll look around at the life you're living, and realize it all started with a promise. It all started with remembering. And in that moment, you'll know you kept your word. You did it. You lived the life you promised yourself. And nothing is more powerful than that.